Thanks, Ron, and thanks everybody for taking the time to listen to the Lavras Gold story. Lavras is, as Ron indicated, focused on southern Brazil, exploring for gold. We have a very simple strategy. The goal of the company is to basically explore and find an economic gold discovery at Lavras. We have been public since April of 2022. We were spun out of our predecessor company called Amarillo Gold. Amarillo was taken over by Hochschild's Mining primarily for a construction-ready project called Mara Rosa. It was about 1 million ounces, open pitable in central Brazil and Guyana. Since that time, Hochschild's has built that mine to production and had their first gold pour, I think it was in February of this year, and went into commercial production in May. We created a 2% revenue-based royalty on all the exploration ground, covering about 65,000 hectares around that asset, and so it gives us good leverage to any potential discoveries around the Mara Rosa area. But our real focus has been on our Lavras do Sol project in southern Brazil. We started with about 500,000 ounces of gold in one of 24 known gold targets on the property. And since that time, we've doubled it to about 1 million ounces of resources that we've been systematically drilling around some key priority targets. And we have made a significant gold discovery beside what we call Boua, something called Fazenda Posto, where we are drilling away to try and unlock the value there. So that's basically our strategy. Brazil is a mining jurisdiction, as some of the previous presenters have said, is a good area to invest in mining. It's a natural resource economy. On the gold side of things, there's some key players there, including Kinross, G Mining Ventures with Tocantinzinho, Hochschild's just building the 100,000 ounce a year Mara Rosa gold mine. So it's a jurisdiction that we like. There is definitely a pathway to go from exploration to development to production. In terms of our share price performance, this is shown here in this chart. You can see that we went public in April 2022. We got 2 drills on our property, and we've been drilling away. We've actually made 6 new gold discoveries since that time. I call them singles and doubles, even though I think the discoveries were quite significant. But really, it was in August, about a year ago, August of 2023, where we drilled Fazenda Depost, the discovery hole, which was 340 meters of 1.1 grams per ton gold, continuous gold mineralization. Since that time, we've drilled another 10,000 meters or so, focusing primarily at Boua, where we have 500,000 ounces to upgrade that resource, and also try and just understand what we have at Fazenda Deposto. We were able to raise $13.7 million in a non-brokered private placement on the back of the Fazenda Deposto discovery. We issued just over 10 million shares at $1.35 a share. So our capital structure is quite tight, and I think that's a large component to the success of our share price performance. We currently have 51.4 million shares outstanding, about 5.1 million options. Our market cap is about 134 million Canadian, and we have cash of about 6.4 million as of June 31st of this year. Our burn rate is about 600,000 per month, so we're good through to early 2025. Excuse me. In terms of our share register, 30% of the company is owned by management and insiders. We have Eric Sprott at 14%. We brought Kinross in for about 5% of the company, and Rob McEwen came in for 1% of the company. So it's a very tight, kind of long-only type of share register, which is what we really wanted. Talking about the project, as I mentioned, we're in southern Brazil, in Rio Grande do Sul state, the southernmost state in Brazil. You fly to Porto Alegre. It's a population of about 1.5 million, and you drive for about 4.5 hours down tarmac roads, which is shown in this photo. It's great infrastructure, power, roads, water. The town of Lavras do Sol is about 7,000 people. It's a farming community. We have an office there with about 30 employees, a handful of professionals, and the rest are field crew that we've hired from the local community. They're the best ambassadors to create the social license to move the project forward. So very, very nice area to work. In terms of our geological model, we're dealing with an intrusive-hosted gold system. In the academic literature, you'll see it described as a porphyry system. I think it's actually IOCG for a lot of different reasons. But the reasons these types of mineral systems are important is because they can be very big. I've just shown some examples of these intrusive hosted systems like Porgera, Cripple Creek, Olympic Dam, and you can have world-class deposits there. What's interesting from a physical perspective is that these mineral systems can occur over areas of 3 to 4 kilometers to as much as 6 kilometers. We actually have mineralization over at Lavras over an area of about 11 to 12 kilometers. So it's a very large mineral system. The key for us, obviously, is to focus in to figure out where those economic concentrations of minerals are. If you look at this map that shows the geology of the area, we have about 23,000 hectares of contiguous exploration claims covering the favorable geology. The circular feature in this slide is a plan view of the remnants of an old magma chamber to a volcanic complex. And on the right-hand side, or the east side of the complex, we have the overlying volcanic rocks. To the west side, we've got the original country rocks, which these magmas intruded into. We've done regional geophysics, drone surveys, so we have a very good handle on the structural setting of the property. Northeast trending structures are very, very important. We think they're crustal scale and probably mantle tapping and maybe the source of the gold. We've also done regional soil geochemistry when we've identified 3 very large kilometer scale gold and soil anomalies, one on the west side of the intrusive complex, one on the south, and a more scattered one on the east side. The Portuguese arrived here in the late 1700s, and then various European groups have worked the area. There are literally hundreds of old workings scattered throughout that intrusive complex and off into the volcanic rocks, and they are centered on these gold and soil anomalies, so a lot of targets to look at. Our real focus is on Boua and Fazenda Depost in the southwest portion of the project area, but we have drilled and discovered 6 other gold deposits or primary sources of gold through our exploration work in the last 2.5 years. Just moving on to this slide, we've tried to summarize the work. One of the things that's coming out of our work is there's a lot of geological variability in the styles of mineralization that we're seeing. In fact, I've seen at least 5 different gold mineralizing events on the property. So the geological variability ultimately will translate, we think, into mining flexibility. So we're getting everything from bulk tonnage, low-grade disseminated styles of mineralization, such as what we see at Boua, Fazenda de Posto, and also at Matilge. We're also getting very narrow kind of quartz stockwork styles of mineralization with visible gold. We find that at places like Zekasuza, where we get 4 meters of 40 grams per ton gold, for example. Looking at Boua, this is our most advanced project. It's about 500,000 ounces, about 1 gram per ton sitting at surface. We think those gold grades are actually understated for a lot of different reasons, which I won't go into right now. But what we have done is drilled another 16 holes into Boua, really to try and see what the grades would be and try and understand the geometry of the mineral system. We're getting some very, very good results, things like over 200 meters of 1.4 grams per ton right from surface. So we're getting a corridor of about 150 meters of strike length of a very high-grade disseminated style of gold mineralization down to over 200 meters of depth, which is quite phenomenal. Just to the north and west of Boua, we found what we call the Fazenda de Posto discovery. This was a blind discovery based on basically looking at geomorphology. There's a northeast trending structure, and there's about a 25-meter drop in topography as you go from the edge of Boua to an area that had never been drilled. And one of our more astute geologists suggested that what was happening is that you're actually getting volume compression in these granites, which have been hydrothermally altered, and you're getting volume compression, which is manifesting itself in this recessive topography. So we drilled a couple of holes to test the idea, and then drill hole number 2, we drilled through 116 meters of altered granites, and then we hit what we call epicyanite, an altered granodiorite, which contain this 3.5 football fields of gold mineralization. So it's quite a significant blind gold discovery with no real surface expression, in the sense that there was no soil geochemistry saying there was a deposit there, which is why it was never drilled. So since that time, we've put 23 more holes into this thing. We've drilled about 7,000 meters into it. What we're finding is an aerial extent of about 200 meters of gold mineralization. We've drilled this thing down to about 400 meters vertical so far, and it's still open at depth. This is a section looking west of what we have. We have continuous mineralization, essentially starting from surface and again going down to 400 meters. Still open. What we're starting to realize is that northeast trending structures are very, very important, and so what we're doing is we're stepping out to the northwest now, and we're drilling from the northwest into the deposit to see if we can find these parallel structures, which is really controlling where we find this, what we call epicyanite. Just to give you a sense as to the style of mineralization that we're seeing, it's very unique. It's what we call metasomatic alteration. It's literally a chemical alteration of these original granodiorites that are in the country rock to the intrusion. So the top picture that I show on the left-hand side is the original granodiorite. You can see a microfracture through there with what we call potassic alteration. As that alteration increases in intensity, it starts to literally chemically change that rock till we get to the third picture, which is what we call albitite. Albitite is a classic alteration that you see in IOCG systems, which is part of the reason why I think this is actually IOCG. And eventually we get into this mineralized brick red colored epicyanite, which is hosting the gold mineralization. Bottom line is that we think what's happening is there's multiple events where you're creating a lot of permeability and porosity in these rocks, and then you're having a mineralizing event. So the reason we're seeing these long intervals of gold mineralization is because you've had preparation of these granites and then a mineralizing event. This is what it's starting to look like. Butia on the right-hand side, measured, indicated, and inferred resource, with mineralization starting at surface with literally no pre-stripping involved, going across the northeast trending structure to our Fazenda Deposto discovery, which is right beside it. There's about 500 meters of strike length so far of mineralized rock, still open to the northwest, so we'll be looking to expand from there. And just to give you perspective, Butia and Fazenda Depostos in the western part of the intrusion. We have a lot of ground to explore. We actually have 3 drills on site, and we're starting to explore in the intrusion at what we call our Candelaria concessions. So stay tuned, and we'll see what we can do there. Lastly, quick comment on our royalty. We have a 2% royalty on 65,000 hectares of exploration ground. The Posse mine is now up and running. Franco-Nevada, Royal Gold have 1% and 2.75% royalties respectively on the Posse production. We do not have that, but we do have something on Postino, which is a gold discovery we made in 2019. Hochschild is obviously drilling away to look for more gold on the property, and any success they have there would accrue to our royalty. So I'll just wrap it up there. We have basically drilled 10,000 meters of a 25,000 meter program, and we're going to continue to drill into the future to see what we can come up with. Thank you.
Michael, thank you. Are there any questions? We have a minute left. I guess not.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.